Let's start by building a peer-to-peer network with two PCs. In Packet Tracer, we have devices down here in the lower left corner are the categories of devices. We'll go to In Devices and we'll select a generic PC. Then we'll go to the connection cables and we'll choose a crossover cable. We have now connected two PCs. We can click on them to open their settings, and we can go to the configuration and put the settings in for the interface this way. Or we can go to a fake desktop and we can put the settings in more of a Windows dialog. Like so. Once we've done that, we can go to the command prompt and we can ping the other side. We can also type commands like ipconfig, and we can verify our IP settings. That's your first successful lab. Usually I put labels on them. Something like so. Once we have our working peer-to-peer network, another fun way to interact with it beyond typing ping at the command line is to do the pings graphically. In the lower right corner, we can switch from real-time to simulation mode. We can then grab a PDU and we can put that PDU on a device and drag it to where we want the PDU to end up. We can then run the simulation, and I can see by clicking on the packet its settings. I can see the layer 3 that came from 10.0.0.1. I can see that it went to 10.0.0.2, and I also have the MAC address header. So it's a good way, much like Wireshark, to look at your traffic. You can put ones going back the other way as well. Like so. And you can step back. We'll go all the way to the beginning and we'll play this forward. These are the pings going back and forth between the two hosts, and then the green check mark is verifying their successful completion. Again, we can see protocols, all the information as these go across, just by highlighting over them or clicking on them to get more details. This time, let's build a more complicated network, the basic 2-router network. We'll go down to the lower corner with our categories of devices. Stick a couple routers up here. Let's put a couple switches into this network as well. And then our In devices. Put some generic PCs in here. Like so. Now we'll cable everything up with the connections category. We'll grab some straight through cable and just click on the device, choose the port, and then drag it to the other device. It's very easy. Like so. Now I think we'll use a serial cable between our routers. And there's not going to be a serial port installed in the routers, so we'll have to open the router dialog for configuration. And we'll power it off with the power button. And then we can come down and choose the WIC. We'll use the WIC 1Ts and we'll stick one of those cards in. Another nice feature is they have cover plates that you can put on the ports that are not being used. If I can get those on there, and that adds some realism, which is really nice. The dust covers, you can put those in place, and they have them for the network module as well. And once you get that the way you like it, then you can power back on the unit. We'll go over to the other router and put a WIC 1T in that as well. And if we leave it powered on, watch what happens. It gives me an error message that says you can't install modules with powered on. It's nice feature. Go ahead and click the power back on. And we're ready to get started. We'll get our serial cable down here. I'll choose the DCE and put the DCE end over here and cable that up like so. So the clock rate's going to be over on this end. I'll now go ahead and label some of my networks here. So that I can keep track of what I'm doing. I think the labels are a really nice touch. These packet tracer files can also be emailed very easily. They're stored as a simple text document when you save them. And it's very easy to send it to the instructor or share it with your peer students. Okay, those should be powered up now. We'll go ahead and put some IPs in the devices, and as we did in the last tutorial, we just go to the desktop here and we can plug in an IP. Like so. Just like that. And go to the other side and repeat the same process. Okay, now we're ready to go and configure our routers. We'll click on a router. What's nice about the routers is although they do have the full command line interface, you can use the configuration, allowing students that don't know command line yet to configure the router, and they have various settings they can do. I'll change the name here to router A, and then we'll go ahead and go and set up our interfaces. And if you'll notice on the box below, it's going to actually type these commands as I put them in. It's going to put the commands in for me. So I can start to learn the commands as I put them in. It shows me the commands with the like that. And then you have to set your clock rate and turn on your interfaces. And again, it has the command for that. If you scroll up there, you'll see all your commands. And we'll need a route, so we'll add a static route in this case. So to reach the other side, we'll have to send it to our next hop. Like so. And we'll put that in there. Then we'll go ahead and go to the other router and we'll duplicate the same. Go to the config, change the name, we'll make this router B. And you'll see as I click off of that one that it goes ahead and logs me in and does that change. We'll go ahead and come down to our interface and set that. Change the IP here, like so. We'll go into the serial interface and we'll change that. We'll go ahead and turn on these interfaces and put in a static route. Put the next hop, add that, and we're good. So we should now be able to enter one of our router PC devices and go to the command line, type ipconfig to verify our settings, and then ping the other side. And to add a touch of realism, usually the first ping will fail, which is normal with an ICMP because the ARP table hasn't been populated. You can take a look at the ARP table. It's got a lot of realism to the simulation. That's a working two-router network. We're going to go back to the simulation mode, and we're going to add some traffic to our two-router network. Grab a packet and we'll bring it around here and we'll drag it over to the side. Well, then we'll go ahead and run the simulation. And we can stop it at any point that we wish. And we can analyze what's going on. We can open the packet and see the way the switch would see it at layer 2. And that's how that would work. And we can go ahead and let that continue on. And we can grab it here. And we can see the layer 3 information now and how the router is processing it. Notice also when I select the device, floating over it with the mouse, I can see all the ports and what's plugged into them. So it's very helpful. I'll go ahead and run the simulation further. And it stops at each device. It actually does the routing and processing and moves it device to device, and you can stop it at any point and analyze that. So it's quite nice. It's now made its trip across the network, and of course, being a ping, it will now send a reply back. It's really a great way for students to visualize the network and put traffic on it. You have the ability to put other types of packets, more complex PDUs that would be different ports, protocols, that sort of thing, but beyond the ping.